Video will concern Fortify, a program that's made so you can mock up what you would do in the game Rust. This is the version that came out before it was on Steam and is a standalone portable version free to download off of archive.org and, well, another website. There are two versions that are available more easily. One is from October, the other one is from earlier in 2016. I'm going to be showing a couple of examples in here and why this is useful, but warning, because this is much older, as in it contains the pillar function, the adding of a pillar capability, which isn't available in the game anymore, this is going to be wrong in some way. Now, while it would be, if I had written it, made to where I could update it by including the dimension changes for all the items, collision holes, yada yada, all the technical stuff, that's not relevant because all I wanted to do over the last week was find a program like this or this program that was available. I caught a rumor in the discussion area on Reddit, of all places, about a version of this that was available for a long time. Please be warned, I've tried to go through several dozen website versions that should work just fine. In fact, this one being built on top of Unity engine should be able to be exported as a web-based thing, but nobody really uses Unity engine plugin based activities anymore because that requires a browser old enough to tolerate them. But I digress. Anyway, this is called Tech Tree University here, that one there that you're looking at. And what it is this is I'm going to call it a trolling capability build that you might consider doing if you wish to on a live server. Let me get rid of the resource count that's in the lower right corner. And, well, let's take a look. First of all, we hit the button to turn off the roof. And we're going to go over here and look at the basics of it. We have two main triangles, one of which contains the TC. The other one would contain a big battery, the electronics, that sort of thing. So a solar panel can work, maybe a storage box in where the TC is. And these would power the two, that one and that one, turrets that would enforce this being a peacekeeping mode, safe zone style thing. Now let's get over here and get inside of it, and I'll put the roof back on it in a minute here. For the placeholder for the battery packs, I have thrown in just a random item here, a furnace and a small wooden box to represent either of the batteries, large or small. And here again, a box and the TC, you put up some industrial to feed it. And around it, because this version's old enough, it doesn't have all of the tech tables and repair benches and everything. I only have a few of them in here, so I put in, the research table and this one over here being the repair bench to signify Tier 1, 2, and 3 workbenches, the mixing table, and then these two items. Because that is 6 items, you'd be surrounding these two triangles with this on top of some foundations. Unfortunately, this version does not allow you to put the foundations really close to the ground, so I made it look like this. I also threw some other things in here just to kind of dress it up and make it interesting looking. The thing is that I'm going to put the roof back on it, and we're going to go tunneling in here and see about something I noticed. I was putzing around with doing the storage on it and trying to get the capacity up as high as possible. First of all, I put a bed up here. This is a set of roofs with a set of flat panels on top. It's mostly consists of the metal frames for stability. But over here you can see we have our 3 or 4 boxes you could fit into a square normally, but with a slanted roof we can only fit 3. And over here, even with slanted roof, I can fit 1, 2, 3. That's a lot of them. And this can hold apparently 12 on a square, even with a slant here. And of course I have down here put in a ladder hatch. And that's what it would look like. Now, what's the purpose of this? Well, number one, starting huge, crazy-ass wars where everybody just shoots each other and you just run through here because you're the one with TC privileges, grabbing stuff while the fight goes on and stealing all the coal and everything else people put in it. I'm just kidding. What you do is you'd, log onto the server, come out to your Tree University, open up all 4 of these after you're done. But the first thing you do is make sure everything's working, make sure nobody griefed it, clean it up and repair it, and then you'd spawn in there and drop it down through the ladder hatch, and make sure that the turrets are full, and then open all 4 doors, and then run off in the woods and respawn someplace else, or just run off and go do stuff. And what this would do is it would provide a place that would be free in a server where people could go through and do the tech tree. That's why I called it Tech Tree University. And I'll show you the other one I have here real quick that I did just for this video. This is called Beehive, and well, that's because it looks like one. And let's see here, we're going to zoom in. And this is a starter base expanded out to a much bigger one. And let's just rip off the roof instead of raising it, and go over here and look around inside. And let's get backed up here a little bit. Okay, first of all, again, in a single square foundation, 1, 2, 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4, we get 12 small boxes. Now, why would somebody do that? Well, number one, that makes basically completely filled in floor. You're using the maximum amount of space, you're not wasting any, and you don't have any spaces that you wish you could use for something, versus 4 large boxes here. Okay, and I'll be giving you the numbers on those in a minute. Now, let's talk about your basic 1x1 with a airlock. So, where's TC? It's pretty hard to see it even when you're staring at it, but here is the TC, here's the storage box, and here's a bed. I put it in there, but this is actually the starter base I started with. And this was the airlock. The standard airlock where you have a door swinging out, another one swinging in, and that swinging out door here blocks access. Optimal it is not. But you'd go from there and pick up all your deployables and move them around and slowly build the base out into a spiral like this and make it as big as you want to, and it can hold as much stuff as you can cram into it. The method I used here is that all of the airlocks would be in the center, and you'd have one point in the thing that would feed from the outside in to the airlock space, into this one here that would allow access to this as a spiral. And you could make the whole thing out of door frames if you wanted to, but the idea is you'd have a place to come in and have a dump box. And then from there you could go into here and go in a circle to go into any of these basically all conjoined starter bases that this is composed of. Since they share many of the resources like adjacent walls and the parts of the airlock, you end up being able to make this somewhat efficiently. And the options also include, besides the loot room, this one with small boxes, which I'm going to be discussing in a minute, versus large boxes. You could, in the area that would be normally considered filler, or the triangle, used as your honeycomb, you could actually use that with a small box and a respawn bag. I don't call them sleeping bags. So the idea is you could respawn in any one of these triangles. All of them are set up exactly the same, just about, and go out from there and repair any damage if you're attacked. And unless they hit a loot room, which is possible, but not necessarily all likely, you'd be able to go around with enough materials with a building plan, hammer, and some materials to repair everything. You'd need enough wood to be able to do the twig and instantly upgrade it to high qual or just sheet metal or just stone. And that would allow you to maintain control over the base, and this could be usable for more than one individual being into it. This could be anything from a small to a large group. And I threw in some random things here and there. Now, I've seen this done by others, but I haven't seen it specifically explained in a video on YouTube about how to do it. Now we'll get to the next point. Why did I do this video? Number one, I'm going to rant a bit, so get ready. Don't watch the video? Okay, you've been warned. Not being able to find this program was making me crazy. Basically, there ought to be, dagummit, a copy of this program, again, it's called Fortify. I would have made a knockoff version named 45, for number 45. There ought to be a 2D version of this for doing layout, because a lot of bases, if not all of them, are just done as a 2D layout for the first stage. This could have been done very easily that way. And the ones I found, including online versions that have been since erased and only found on archive.org, did an extremely poor job because they didn't include the dimensions, and neither does this. The person who did this appears to have used either the original models from the game from back then in 2016 or an estimate of it based on collision holes or clip zones or other features that would be in a game engine. And my frustration about this is nobody bothered putting out the basic dimensions in pixels or units or whatever they use in the game engine for all of these objects so that a person could create something similar to this using quite literally paint. Again, I was looking for a 2D version. I'm very happy that I found a 3D version, although it makes it at least twice as hard to be able to manipulate these things and be able to position things in-game. But the learning curve, while it's annoyingly high compared to me being lazy and just using paint, this was actually a pleasant surprise about how easy this is compared to literally every other offering I could find. Okay? Okay. And it comes with a little manual. It actually is quite useful. Here we are. It warns you about screen bugs. It gives you the default keys. Even the utility, I'm going to call it a utility when it starts, tells you the keyboard layout and lets you change it immediately, which in my case was a giant mistake and I had to start over. But yeah, that's all of the data there, and I'll have links for it below in the description. And let's go to the next page. If you use large boxes versus small boxes, a small box has 18 slots and costs 100 wood. 12 of them will fit in a room rather than the normal 4 that you get with the large boxes. The large boxes require more than double the wood and also another material, metal fragments, 50 of them. Tier 0 activity dictates that it should be wood, stone, and cloth only requirements. But if you do that, an entire room has 216 slots, just costing 1,200 wood, and this one costing 200 frags and 1,000 wood. Seems pretty close equivalents, but you only get 192 slots. You get 80% of the storage yield out of a square foundation that you would get if you were able to cram potentially 12 small boxes in a room. I've not seen anybody do a loot room of nothing but small boxes, period. And I found that rather odd on YouTube. You would think someone would do that. Now, I'm assuming I'm completely wrong. But again, this is essentially saying that if you use per room, you can get 216 slots by using small boxes instead of 192 for the large box. Both are lockable, and the small boxes are easily acquired in first stage. Now, can you get away with doing a second layer with a triangle midway up the wall and get away with that, having really high storage capacity? No. But then again, this would work better for the lower level or not. Obviously, it's the problem of being able to reach in and view them and access and loot them. Next, this Fortify 2016 or version number 1.54 was uploaded by redditor pfergus, who apparently is the person who wrote the original version of Fortify. And the 11 megabyte zip file is available on archive.org, Fortify 1-54, and it's a zip file, and you just extract it and run it immediately. There's also a 12 megabyte version that the author himself put up on Reddit, and it's the October version, a little bit newer, but it doesn't seem to have much differences in it. But there's a Linux, a Mac, and a PC version. So if you want anything other than the PC version, you'll need to use the Dropbox versions here. And that's about it. That's all I have for the video for today. So I hope this was informative. I've decided that this has been a lot of fun. I was able to make something fun. And that's about it. I don't have anything else to contribute.